Time now for Sid 6-0. This is where I got 60 seconds to talk. Start the clock, please. Here's what's on my mind this morning. Golden State Warriors and Boston Celtics begin the NBA Finals tomorrow night in San Francisco. Meanwhile, the other 28 teams in the league who didn't quite make the cut are figuring out ways to make their teams better. I love the track. And right now, the Toronto Raptors are very much entrenched in the rumor mill. According to Bleacher Report, OG Anunoby isn't happy. His offensive touches have declined since Rookie of the Year Scotty Barnes came on the scene. And although OG has yet to formally ask for a trade, the Raptors are reportedly fielding queries about their 24-year-old small forward. Now, for the record, I really like Anunoby. He can shoot, he can hit a three, solid rebounder, great defensively. He does a lot of things really well. What he can't do really well right now is stay healthy. He's failed to hit the 50 games played mark in each of the previous 2 seasons. I like the kid, but if the right deal came along, would I move him? Yes, I would. Amy Audibert of Sportsnet, Raptors analyst, joining us. Amy, you've seen OG up close a lot more than I have over the past couple of years. Your genuine thoughts on the baseless rumor offseason getting off to a flying start?
And here we are talking about it the day later on national TV, right? Yes. I mean, listen, you read this stuff, it's not surprising to read it. And if you're going to go after a guy and say, hey, he's not happy with the Raptors, it probably would be OG. He only suited up for 48 games. And yes, who doesn't want an elevated role in the NBA? But I think what we all have to remember with OG, and I agree with everything you said, Sid, you're a GM, you're a coach, you're an analyst, and you host a morning breakfast show. I mean, it's crazy. But he can do all the things that you just mentioned. On top of that, though, I think he's a really good teammate. And I think when you look at the Toronto Raptors and the way that they're trying to build and with the core that they've brought in, he's a big piece of that. When you look at the first 15 games of this season before OG got hurt, he was a double-digit scorer in every single game. He did have a role. He did have touches, but it was a crazy hip pointer injury that took him, and it was a freak accident in practice that took him out of the rotation. And so I think if we're having this conversation after a full year of what we got to experience with OG, that's a completely different story. And then he hurt his finger, where I got to officially welcome him to the Crooked Pinky Club. And I mean, these were just random. It was just a very random season for OG, but I think, Sid, it all boils down to that he's going to have a very high price. The Toronto Raptors love what he does. And Masai sat there after the season wrap press conference and said, if we could have 15 OG, Scotty, and Pascal, we would. So they're not just going to give him away. There certainly are some big names around the league. I'm not sure if one big name is going to be enough to make a trade.
We got about 30 seconds. The injury situation, however, because you're seeing a lot of Raptor fans immediately go online and say, you can't trade OG. What are you talking about? There's players out there that might help you, right? Like you got Joel Embiid in the conference. You might need a big once in a while. Marc Gasol was pretty important to you. Are you concerned with the injury situation with OG? And do you think the need for a center is that big where you would contemplate moving?
I think that the need for a center in the NBA, you contemplate that with anybody because it's the toughest thing now to find that 7-footer who's mobile. There's not too many of them. So if one of them pops up, and there are a couple, especially on the West, and Rudy Gobert with Utah and DeAndre Ayton with Phoenix, where their situations are not great. As terms of injury with OG, I mean, again, a hip pointer and a finger. These are like totally random injuries where it's not something that's totally alarming. They just, quite frankly, suck to deal with. So I'm not concerned yet in terms of that specifically with OG. It's just, again, it comes more to what we have versus what we're willing to give. And I'm not sure those things are quite in line, whether he's happy or not with the front office.
Fair enough. Amy, good stuff. Amy Audibert, Sportsnet. Appreciate you. Let's do this. It's going to be an interesting offseason. I'll bug you again. Thank you for this. Appreciate you.
Thank you.